Ew.
Hi everybody, I'm Ida and my hair is dirty, so it's in a ponytail and don't mind that. Today I have an interesting story to tell you. You see, I used to work in this bar in Itaewon, which means I would get off work at around 2 in the morning. The thing about Itaewon is, if you've ever been there during the weekends, you know how hard it is to catch a taxi. Because for some reason, they don't want to take you anywhere and they just want to rip you off. So what a lot of taxi drivers do is that they turn on this little sign that says 예약, which means it's booked, and they will just drive right past you. Even though they are not booked, because they will stop if they see a foreigner and they believe they can just steal your money. Rule number 1, don't take those taxis. I was trying to catch a cab to go back home after my shift had finished, and I was just standing there seeing all these stupid taxis just going straight past me. Some of them stopped and offered to take me home for about 30,000 won, which is crazy. It's supposed to be like 7. So of course I said no, and they were like, oh, suit yourself, and they just kept going. But then this 예약 cab was approaching me, and he was about 10 meters away from me when he turned the sign off. So I'm like, oh, I guess you got free. So he stops and I get in. He asks me like, oh, where are you going, blah 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 blah, and I say where I'm going, and he starts his taxameter.
Taximeter?
And he starts the thing that counts the time you're in the taxi. So I'm like, okay, cool, you're not one of those crazy people. However, I noticed he was pretty young. Like, usually the blah blah blah.
The taxi.
Taxi driver. Usually taxi drivers are like in their like 50s maybe, and it's usually like old men, or maybe like 2 times I've had old women drive me, but usually it's old men. But this guy was maybe in his late 20s, and you know, he was very talkative, and he was like talking to me a lot in Korean, and he was like, oh, it's amazing, you're so good at Korean, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever, just take me home. Why do you do this?
What are y'all doing out there? Oh. She's coming. Do you live there? No, she's coming this way.
Why don't you live there?
Want you to make me feel like I'm the only girl in the world.
As we got to my destination, you know, he just told me how much it was, but then he kinda froze and he just looked at me. And honestly, I never expected this to happen, ever. He just looks at me and he's like, or you can just get it for free if you kiss me. I'm just staring at him and I'm like, I'll pay, thank you. And I like reach for my wallet, and he's like, no, like I'm serious, just like give me a kiss and we're good. All these scenarios in my head, and I'm like, he's gonna lock the door, he's gonna drive off, you know. I'm just like, well, here's 10,000 won, keep the change, bye, you know. I wanted to get out as fast as possible, and he looked kind of bummed out, and he was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I paid for your service, thank you, I'm gonna leave now. So I actually opened the door as I was giving him the money just to make sure he wouldn't lock it, and then I just like ran home. I don't know, that was really weird, and because while we were talking I was even mentioning how I had a boyfriend and whatever, you know, it's really shady person. And just to let you guys know, if you ever come to Korea and if you ever need to take a taxi home in the middle of the night, first of all, don't get in a taxi if they say they will take you to Gangnam for 20,000, because that's crazy. That's way too expensive, okay? They always have to use the taximeter, and if they don't, you can actually report them, okay? Remember that, don't lose your money. And I guess second of all, if you're lucky or unlucky enough to run into this guy, I guess you can get out of paying the taxi altogether if you're into that. Or you can just throw some money at him and run away. You know, it's a personal preference. I don't judge. Please let me know in the comments if you ever had some weird experience in a taxi. I've had a couple of fun experiences here in Korea. This is the only one that was like uncomfortable. So yeah, please let me know and we can read it and share each other's pain, I guess. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you guys for watching, comment, like and subscribe, and you can watch our latest video. It's right here and it's amazing.
The rest of my body are mine.
So far.
Yeah, so far.
Like plastic surgery here in Korea is pretty common. The most common thing would be like double eyelid surgery.